Welcome back to the Crypto World channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now we are seeing the largest squeeze that we've seen in a very long time for the price of Bitcoin in this indicator right here, which is something that we need to pay attention to as Bitcoin is still trying to play out this bullish divergence on the 3-day time frame, while right now Ethereum is pressing up against a major area of resistance in the immediate short term, alongside XRP still trying to play out this shorter term bullish divergence. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and the super trend indicator is still sitting in the red, indicating a larger correction or a larger bearish market on the larger time frames. And of course, on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still have a massive bearish divergence to watch out for, indicating a lack of bullish momentum and a lot of weakness on the larger time frames. So over the last one day, not a lot has changed on the weekly time frames. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, of course, while technically speaking, the much larger bearish divergence is still currently active on the much larger time frames, in the somewhat short to mid term we have a smaller bullish divergence, also helping the price just in the shorter term here avoid a little bit of bearish price action. Obviously previously we were seeing a lot of bearish price action playing out this massive bearish divergence, but then more recently with this smaller bullish divergence in the shorter term on the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, we're taking a bit of a break, just a short-term relief from all of that bearish price action. And so considering the fact that this is also still currently active, I continue to expect either some choppy sideways price action or perhaps just a slight bullish relief, not necessarily a lot of strength in the market, but just a little bit more of a relief or a break from all of the bearish price action is still quite likely in the coming days or possibly weeks, that sort of time frame. And if we're zooming further into the shorter term, taking a look at the daily time frame right now, we're still bouncing between this support and this resistance. First of all, we still have a lot of support at around 85 to 86,000 and a lot of resistance in between around 92 to 94,000. So not a lot has changed on this chart over the last one day. And if we're taking a look at the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart, looking at the immediate short term here, obviously not only are we in this sideways price range, we're in an even smaller sideways price range right here. Once again, here on the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart, bouncing around between this support and this resistance. First of all, this support is still sitting at around 86.8k, and this resistance is still sitting at around 89.9k, almost $90,000, acting as strong resistance. And obviously, while the price of Bitcoin is within these sideways price ranges, yes, we could see short-term bullish moves, short-term bearish moves, but the overall trend or momentum in the market is very neutral. Obviously, it's very flat. We're just basically trading sideways with volatility in between. And at least for the foreseeable future, talking about the shorter term, maybe the next few days, this will likely continue for a little longer, but the longer that this continues, the tighter this squeeze will get here in the Bollinger Bands indicator. This right here, by the way, is on the 12-hour Bitcoin price chart. And in case you're new to all of this, this Bollinger Bands indicator basically tries to keep the Bitcoin price within these Bollinger Bands. So if we're seeing a lot of volatility, major moves in the price, obviously the Bollinger Bands expand to fit the price in. And if we see very low volatility, the Bollinger Bands contract, they squeeze together. And usually when we see squeezes in the Bollinger Bands, that indicates that a major volatile move is just around the corner. So basically get ready for a major move anytime we see a squeeze in this Bollinger Bands indicator. And the last time we saw a squeeze this tight in the Bollinger Bands indicator, at least here on the 12-hour Bitcoin price chart, was all the way back here around mid to end September 2025. So we're talking about over 100 days, around 103 days ago was the last time we saw a squeeze similar to this size in the Bollinger Bands indicator for the price of Bitcoin on the 12-hour time frame. And the last time that this happened, once again, over 100 days ago, all the way back here, it was only just a couple of days later that we saw a major volatile move in the shorter term, which was a move of around 3% straight down. But if we're talking about the larger move that followed over the next couple of days, around a 6% move just over a period of a couple of days. And so obviously when we're comparing that to the moves we've been seeing over the last 1 week or so, these sort of moves have been barely 2%, maybe 3% on the price chart. So we're talking about potentially some larger moves coming in a few days from now, not necessarily right this moment, but maybe in a few days from now, a week from now, start to expect more volatility coming soon enough. But obviously, just because we saw a 6% move last time, it doesn't mean we're going to see the exact same move this time around. In fact, it could possibly be an even much larger move in the price of Bitcoin. So keep that in mind. Start to expect a lot more volatility, not necessarily right this moment, but maybe in a few days from now, a week from now, after a little bit more choppy sideways price action in the next couple of days. Expect basically this right here is the calm before the storm. So expect a lot more volatility in a few days or a week from now. And in terms of price targets or expecting the direction of the next volatile move, keep an eye on these points of support and resistance. The moment we start breaking below a key point of support or breaking out above a key point of resistance, that would be a signal on the price chart to help determine the direction of that move. And of course, the next price targets would be the next points of resistance if we're breaking out towards the upside, or if we're breaking to the downside, the next points of support. And so those are the key levels and the price targets to watch out for the price of Bitcoin. And of course, what could be likely about to happen in the coming days or in the next 1 week or so. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can actually start to see a lot more liquidity building just below the price of Bitcoin, which is sitting at around 86.4K to 86.6K. So at roughly 86,500, we have a lot of liquidity building right around here, as we can see. And so that tells us that there's a high probability, as always, no such thing as a 100% guarantee, but there's a high probability that we'll likely hit that level to wipe out that liquidity at some point in the shorter term, talking about the next few days or so. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to see a huge crash much below that point, but it's quite likely we'll at least hit that point to wipe out that liquidity. So keep that in mind. That's a technical price target to pay attention to, a likely price target to pay attention to at about 86,500. And obviously, as soon as we start to see that next major move in the price of Bitcoin, I will be covering it here on the channel as soon as it happens. And if there's any trading opportunities, I will be sharing it here on the channel. So you don't want to be wasting your time with setting up an account on a crypto exchange when that is happening. You want to be set up ready to go before it starts happening, not financial advice. But if you use the first link below this video in the description and in the pinned comment, that first link below the video will take you to this page right here over on the 2bit crypto exchange, which is an exchange that I use myself, and it's actually a no KYC crypto exchange. And right now there's a 1 million USDT prize pool happening over on 2bit just by trading crypto using that link. And so especially if you're going to be trading crypto anyway or preparing to take the next trading opportunity, you might as well check this out. Take advantage of this. This is extra free money using that link below the video, the first link below the video to 2bit. And remember, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But if you want another exchange out there that is actually more of a KYC exchange, but you can claim extra bonuses on, in that situation, check out the second link below this video in the description and in the pinned comment, because the second link below this video will take you to this page right here over on the Pinex crypto exchange, which you can actually claim another 1,000 USDT bonus over here. In fact, a 1,050 USDT bonus if we're talking about these two separate bonuses here. First of all, if you make an account, complete KYC, you get a 50 USDT bonus on your account. And on top of that, there's deposit bonuses here. If you deposit as little as 100 USDT, you get a 100 USDT bonus on your account. If you deposit 10,000, you get a 1,000 USDT bonus onto your Pinex account. And so there's basically a bunch of free money here, which you can claim using that link below the video just by depositing and completing KYC using that link below the video to Pinex. But unfortunately, these bonuses are only available if you're making your account using that link. If you don't use that link to make your Pinex account, unfortunately, these bonuses right here are simply not available. The bonuses won't appear in your account unless you use that link. So once again, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway or preparing to take the next trading opportunity, take advantage of this if you want to. Check it out. Second link below this video to Pinex. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, and right now we are technically looking slightly more bullish bullish than we are bearish if we're talking about the shorter term trend or price structure. But overall, we're still very much lacking bullish momentum. We don't have a lot of strength here in the Bitcoin dominance, which means overall it is quite likely that a lot of the major altcoins out there on average will be performing very similar to whatever Bitcoin is doing, not necessarily much better or much worse. So not a lot has changed over the last one day for the Bitcoin dominance on the daily time frame. So taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, and right now the price of ETH is currently retesting, and really over the last couple of days has been retesting this area of resistance. If we're talking about the level of resistance, it's sitting more specifically at around 3040 to 3050, 3050 acting as strong resistance, but really in between 3000 to 3.1k, we have a lot of resistance right there as an area of resistance. And so obviously right now the price is pushing up against that resistance, which by the way, the more we test a level, technically speaking, the weaker that level actually gets. But at least for now, obviously for now, that is still acting as resistance, so keep that in mind. But if we eventually confirm a breakout, ideally with a daily candle close above 3.1k and holding above that level, in that situation, the next target or next point of resistance to watch out for would be sitting at just above 3.2k, around 3230 to 3250 approximately. And above that, I'd expect a lot of resistance at closer towards 3.4k. And as for support to watch out for, we have a lot of support in between around 2750 to 2.8k. And if we're zooming into this area on the daily Ethereum price chart, staying on the daily time frame, we also have this ascending line of support, which is currently sitting at just above 2.8k, around 2840 give or take. And also we have a possible head and shoulders pattern, but like I've explained recently here on the channel over the last couple of days, in order for this possible bearish price pattern, a head and shoulders pattern, in order for this to actually confirm and set up a bearish price target and start to play out, we need to really in the next few days see a break below this neckline at just above 2.8k. So we need a break below around 2.8k in the next few days. Obviously, if we take too long here and we continue the price action that we've been seeing over the last few days, maybe for another half a week to 1 week, then in that situation, this right shoulder would grow too large for the head and shoulders pattern. Therefore, we would not have a head and shoulders pattern even forming. And so the longer that we see this price action that we have been seeing over the last half a week to 1 week, the longer we see this play out in the short term, the better that is for Ethereum in regards to this pattern right here, avoiding a possible massive bearish price pattern. And if we're zooming further into the short term here, taking a look at the 3-hour Ethereum price chart, we can see that the price is slowly trying to push towards the upside. But remember, Ethereum follows very similar price action to Bitcoin. And remember, at least in the shorter term, Bitcoin is looking very flat, very neutral, lacking momentum, lacking strength right now. So we're seeing something very similar for Ethereum. We're trying to push a little higher, but we don't really have a lot of strength in the market. And also, once again, we have a lot of resistance just above the price. Here in the immediate short term, we have a point of resistance at pretty much exactly 3,000, and we have more resistance at around 3,050 to 3,060. And so those are some key levels to watch out for in the immediate short term for the price of Ethereum. And as for support to watch out for, we have a lot of support at pretty much exactly 2.9k. And if we're taking a quick look at the price of Solana on the daily time frame, right now, technically speaking, this bullish divergence is still active on the daily Solana price chart, which means continue to expect either a slight little bullish relief or maybe just some more choppy sideways price action as the most likely outcomes, the most common outcomes from a bullish divergence. And obviously I've been saying that pretty much every day for almost 2 weeks now, a week and a half to 2 weeks now, and has been perfectly playing out as predicted. And so considering the fact that this is still active, it's still playing out, I continue to expect the same sort of price action that we have been seeing over the last 1 to 2 weeks or so moving forward, at least in the coming days, possibly even over another 1 or 2 weeks. But as for support and resistance to watch out for, I'd still expect a lot of support at close to 120, really in between 115 to 120. And as for resistance, expect some resistance at around 125, give or take, but really the next major resistance is at closer towards 130. And above that, we have a very significant area of resistance in between 143 to 147. And so overall, those are the key levels of my short-term expectations to watch out for the price of Solana. But remember, the bigger picture, the larger trend, technically over the last 1 day has not changed. So at least for now, we're still sitting in lower highs and lower lows, which is a longer term bearish trend. at least for now, that is still the situation for the price of Solana if we're talking about the bigger picture versus the short-term situation. And if we're taking a look at XRP, it's a very similar situation as what I just said for Solana for XRP here, because right now XRP is still playing out the massive bearish divergence on the weekly time frame, causing this much larger multi-month pullback, effectively a larger bearish trend playing out here on the larger time frame, showing a lot of weakness. But at least for now, we are running into a major point of support at around $1.80. And if we're zooming into the daily time frame, we do have a smaller bullish divergence, which is technically still active for the price of XRP, which means expect a bit of a break, a bit of a short-term relief from this much larger bearish trend, but not necessarily the end of the larger bearish trend. Of course, as I've explained many times over the last couple of weeks, even though I do expect most likely a sideways consolidation, maybe a slight little bullish relief over a period of days or possibly weeks, that can occur during this larger multi-month bearish trend, as we have already seen many times during the last multiple months along the way towards the downside. And so that is still the situation. This bullish divergence on the daily time frame is still currently active, which means we're most likely going to see a little bit more choppy sideways price action, or maybe just a slight little bullish relief, but don't expect a huge amount of bullish momentum based on this alone, because we are still within a larger bearish trend. And as for support and resistance to watch out for, we have once again a lot of support at around $1.80, and as for resistance, we have a decent amount of resistance at around $1.95, and more resistance in between $2 to $2.05. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, right now it's a similar situation for Chainlink. Obviously, the bigger picture still not looking very good. We're still lacking momentum, don't have a lot of strength, but we are being held up a little bit in the short term, obviously avoiding more bearish price action thanks to this bullish divergence, which is technically still active on the daily Chainlink price chart, helping to cause mostly choppy sideways price action over the last 1 to 2 weeks. And so considering the fact that this is technically still active on the daily Chainlink price chart, I continue to expect most likely some choppy sideways price action, or perhaps a slight little bullish relief moving forward, at least in the coming days. Possibly another 1 or 2 weeks could be a likely scenario here in the shorter term for the price of Chainlink. And as for support and resistance to watch out for, we still have a lot of support at give or take $12, really in between $11.90 to $12.10, acting as strong support. And as for resistance, I would expect some resistance around $12.80 and major resistance in between $13.30 to $13.50. And if we're zooming into this area on the daily Chainlink price chart, we still have a possible head and shoulders pattern forming, but like I've been explaining earlier in this video and also in previous videos over the last few days, we really need to see a break to the downside below this neckline in the next few days or so in order to actually confirm this possible head and shoulders pattern. Because obviously if we take too long here and we just keep playing out the same sort of price action that we've been seeing over the last 1 to 2 weeks, over let's just say the next 1 to 2 weeks, in that situation, then this right shoulder would not really be a right shoulder at all if we're talking about the head and shoulders pattern. Therefore, we would not be forming a head and shoulders pattern anymore. So even though right now this is actually boring, obviously, to see a lot of sideways price action, overall, it is actually some good news because we're helping to avoid the confirmation for this possible bearish price pattern, at least for now. And so those are the signals, patterns, and indicators and key levels to watch out for the price of Chainlink and all of these crypto assets here. And remember, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, then definitely get set up ready to go using those links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim the massive bonuses that are only available using those links. So you might as well do that if you're going to be trading crypto anyway. And of course, if you want to know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price does, no matter what direction the price goes, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.